Welcome to the presentation of Sygnity's FlexiFEE system. I will walk you through its basic features. FlexiFEE functionality. Flexi Services platform benefits. Short implementation time. Ready components and verified mechanisms allow for faster launch of the system. This means you can start working with our system quicker to gain your business needs faster. Lower operational risk. The platform is already tested on multiple environments, which minimizes the risk of critical errors, malfunctions, or security gaps. Ecosystem integration. Ready API and connectors allow for easy integration with other systems. Credibility and trust. The choice of the platform that is already used by other teams or institutions builds trust both in inner and outer circles, like management, IT department, as well as partners. FlexiFEE enables comprehensive and fully automated management of the process of calculating fees and commissions and forecasting the resulting revenues. The system was created based on observations and analysis of the life cycle of the table of fees and commissions in the bank. The table of fees and commissions is created for a customer segment and then changed after a specified period. For groups of customers or selected clients, some fees may be promotional or have negotiated individual values. When creating the system, great emphasis was placed on flexibility. The goal was to create the most flexible solution possible that would allow for any modeling of the table of fees and commissions without the need to interfere with the application code. FlexiFEE is divided into areas that are used to define the method, algorithm for calculating the amounts to be settled with the client, as well as the area that is used to load the data and process it in order to calculate the amounts. The system has all the elements that allow you to define algorithms, but also allow you to define the attributes that these algorithms will use. These are attributes related to the customer, the product, or the transactions performed by the customer. To be able to use the full functionality of the system, in addition to parameterization, we need to supply the system with data, and for this purpose there are mechanisms that allow importing and exporting data to the system. The system also has a module that allows for the analysis of collected data and forecasting the bank's revenues when rates change. Functional advantages. A large part of the system allows you to define elements that are later used to process fees and commissions. Flexibility of the solution and the possibility of full parameterization and handling of fees was achieved by modeling and creating two entities called price list and methodologies. Methodologies are algorithms for calculating fees and commissions. Price lists are a set of methodologies taking into account customer segmentation, as well as customer, product, and transaction characteristics. The system allows for the parameterization of these elements and, as a result, automatic calculation of amounts and settlement of charges. The method of calculation is parameterized in the methodology. This can be done online, upon request, after the transaction is completed, periodically, or by defining the activation fee. It all depends on how the system is parameterized and what data is provided. The result of these activities is, on one hand, settlement with the client, and on the other, collected data that can be used for forecasting. Forecast results are presented graphically and in reports. The structure of the system allows for a very high degree of flexibility, and therefore most, if not all, fees can be parameterized without any interference with the code. The system includes elements that allow for the definition and management of the table of fees and commissions structure, which reflects the entire table of fees and commissions presented to the client. For full parameterization and management of fees, two entities were created, mentioned before, price lists and methodologies, which mainly use attributes. The value of these attributes are delivered to the FlexiFEE system from external systems. The methodology specifies how a given fee and commission are to be calculated based on the data provided to the system. This is an algorithm for calculating fees according to defined parameters. Here you can define, for example, the method of calculating the fee amount, the rate type, percentage, amount, mixed, the amount thresholds, the minimum and maximum rates, as well as the billing schedule and the method for collecting the fee. Possible billing methods. Transaction fees are calculated based on a transaction which must be submitted to FlexiFEE via the transaction system interface. This transaction for the system is considered a transaction event. The method for calculating such a fee is specified in the methodology attached to the fee, which calculation is triggered by a specific transaction event. Such a fee can be calculated in online mode. The calculation will take place at the time of handling or executing the transaction, periodically in accordance with the frequency defined in the methodology. The price list checks for which fee a given transaction event has been indicated, and for such a fee an algorithm for calculating amounts in accordance with the methodology attached to that fee will be applied. Activation fees are calculated for the client-specified products based on a date or event. The value of this event is fed through an interface with external systems. Subscription fees are charged for the customer's specified products and triggered according to the schedule specified in the methodology attached to such a fee. The price list specifies products, transaction events, and additional conditions defined as attributes. After their occurrence, a fee specified in the attached methodology may be charged. The system distinguishes between the main price list, which is addressed to a given segment, and additional, more detailed price list that can be added to the main price list. Promotional price list is addressed to the entire segment, valid for a specific time period, whereas negotiated price list is used for a specific customer, customer group, or product. The concept is based on the fact that the main price list contains all the items provided by the bank and specified in the table of fees and commission structure, while the additional price lists contain fewer and only selected items. When a fee is to be charged at a different rate for a given fee, the system checks whether it should apply a reference rate specified in the additional price list imposed on the main price list, and if it finds such an item, it applies it. If not, it continues searching. If no fee is found in any additional price list, the fee from the main price list will be applied. The amounts and collection method will be defined in the system's methodology. The description of the fee will be included in the table of fees and commissions structure. The price list will include a reference to this fee and additional elements that differentiate the rate, including event triggering the fee collection and additional attributes determining whether the fee should be collected. Attributes allow you to use additional customer, product, or transaction characteristics to differentiate rates of the table of fees and commissions. Attributes can be defined by the user with various data types, including dictionary, test value, and numeric. They can be fed from other systems or calculated based on our own data. By the use of attributes, we can define price lists in which we specify how a given rate applies to a given specific product after the occurrence of a specific event. This may be, for example, a transfer order. To calculate a fee, the system needs a trigger, which we call an event. That trigger initiates the fee collection. If we receive it, we collect the reference data and attributes loaded into the system. We search for the appropriate price list, the methodology, and calculate the rate. The system also has a module that allows for analyzing the data that was collected and later forecasting what the amounts calculated by the system would be if the rates were changed. There is a mechanism that, based on the data, allows for determining what the bank's revenues would be if the rates were different. This function allows the user to define the scope of historical data, specify forecast price lists, and define parameters for aggregating forecast results. This function allows for searching and reviewing previously prepared forecasts. Forecast results are presented in a tabular and graphical formats and can be exported to Excel files. To sum up, the system has elements that allow you to define algorithms, but also allow you to define the attributes that these algorithms will use. These are attributes related to the customer, the product, or transactions performed by the customer. In addition to the fact that all fee calculation processes are performed automatically, the system allows you to define schedules that trigger the execution of these processes. The system also includes mechanisms for preparing schedules for generating reports that can be automatically distributed to defined email inboxes, mechanisms for generating email alerts in case of events identified as alarming during the implementation, informing the appropriate units within the bank that something alarming is happening and requires action to be taken by the operator. FlexiFEE is the system that includes elements not only related to functionality, but also support for authorization, verification, integration with other systems, and mechanisms for recording audit logs and activities performed. FlexiFEE architecture. This diagram shows technology stack of FlexiFEE services. Users expect applications to be available all the time, and developers are expected to deploy new versions of them several times a day. A rolling update allows a deployment update to take place with zero downtime. It does this by incrementally replacing the current pods with the new ones. The new pods are scheduled on nodes with available resources, and Kubernetes waits for those new pods to start before removing the old pods. FlexiFEE integration. How do we work on our products? Project Lifecycle is based on traditional model, but we use shortened analysis. Its final product is HLD high-level design document, where we write down your expectations. Then we introduce Agile methodology, we work in Scrum, sprints are usually 2 weeks, and we deliver parts of software via iterations, so the client can verify if the HLD agreements are what they wanted to be, and if we correctly understood each other. We support clients in the whole process, UAT phase, stabilization phase, and we offer maintenance as well. Thank you very much for your attention. For more information, contact our business unit manager or the contact data visible in this screen.